गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जय। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर जू की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रीमच्छ्रील भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रीमच्छ्रील भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रील भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रील भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपनु गौड़ीय गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्रील बलदेव विजयभूषण प्रभु की जय। श्रील विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री नाथम श्रीनिवास रामानंद प्रभु त्रय की जय। श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ शारद गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंद आदि श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री चतुर्मास व्रत की जय। श्री कार्तिक व्रत आदिवास तिथि की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री दामोदराष्टकम की जय। श्री सनातन गोस्वामी पाद की जय। श्री गुरुदेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Dandavad pranams, everybody. So I'm going to begin now today reading the foreword and preface of Damodarāṣṭakam. And maybe we should sing Damodarāṣṭakam also, huh? Should we do it now or should we do it after? I think maybe let's sing it after. I'll just do a quick Mangalacharana now and then we can begin reading. Okay, let me share my screen. And here's... Vandeham Shri Guru Shri-Yuta-Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitanscha Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Shri Keśava Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Vamaniti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singharupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava iti namine Atimart Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati iti namine Namo Gaurakishoraya Shakshad Vairagyamurtaye Vipralambar Sambhode Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaur Shakti Sarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gauravir Bhava Bhumistang Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Angashama Chata Virabhito Mandi Kritendi Varam Jadyam Jagurorochisham Vidadatam Patambarasya Shriya Vrindaranya Vilasinam Hridilasad Tamabhiramodaram Radha Skanda Niveshito Jvalabhujam Dhyaye Madamodaram Vrindayai Tulsidevai Priyayai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dandavat pranams Pramila Mataji and Ganga Didi and Madhavi Didi, Kishore Prabhu, Gargaraj Ji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantarmurti Mataji, Indira Mataji. And Indira Mataji, I did send it I tried to send it on our WhatsApp group, but my phone is not working. Last night also it stopped working. I wasn't able to use WhatsApp for some reason. So I need to figure that out. But if you wouldn't mind, if you could just mention in that WhatsApp group that I started, that would be helpful. All right, so let's begin. Jai Shri Dāmodarāṣṭakam Ju Ki Jai. Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, Krishna controlled by love and affection. So this book we're reading, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam by Sri Satyavrata Muni, written by Sri Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas. And this book we'll be reading from the Digdarshini Tika by the crest jewel among the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Yukta Sanatan Gosvāmī. And the verse and Tika translations and annotations by Nitil Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Swami Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the Digdarshini Vritti are the supplementary commentary on Śrīla Sanatana Goswami's commentary by the best among his followers, the followers of my Param Gurudev, Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Mahārāja. And at the end of the book, there is an excerpt from Gopal Champu telling this pastime of Krishna being bound up. Dedicated to my holy master, Shri Gauriya Vedanta Acharya Kesari Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja, the best among the 10th generation of descendants in the Bhagavat Parampara from Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the founder of the Shri Gauriya Vedanta Samiti and its branches throughout the world. All right, so let us begin the foreword now. This is written by the editors. Forward. Śrī Dāmodar Vrat, which is observed for the entire month of Kartik, is the most important vrat for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It has become famous by the name Damodar because Sri Krishna's pastime of being bound with rope by his mother took place during this month. Dam means rope, and Bandhan means to bind. Thus, this pastime is known as Śrī Dam Bandhan Leela. Sri Satyavrat Muni's eternally perfect Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam is part of the Padma Puran, which was recorded by Sri Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas. This Ashtakam, or prayer comprising 8 verses, reveals many deep and fundamental secrets about this beautiful pastime. Therefore, all of our Gaudiya Acharyas have prescribed that we sing it every day during the month of Kartik if we are serious about pleasing Kartiki Srimati Radhika, the presiding goddess of the month of Kartik. Singing this Ashtakam every day during the month of Kartik is so vital that Śrīla Sanatana Goswami, the crest jewel among Sri Gaudiya Vaishnavas, has written a lucid and penetrating commentary on it, known as the Digdarshini Tika. In 1954, Nitilila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja, the founder of Shri Gauriya Vedanta Samiti, published this book in the Bengali language after very carefully translating and annotating Śrīla Sanatana Goswami's commentary. And our own beloved Śrīla Gurudev, Parivrajacharya Tridandi Swami Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Mahārāja, who is the best among the disciples of Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja, has translated the former edition into Hindi with an additional commentary called the Digdarshini Vritti. Under his guidance, this English rendition is now being presented. Once, during the month of Kartik, Srila Gurudev read Sri Dam Bandhan Leela from Srila Jiva Goswami Pad's Gopal Champu to his spiritual master, Sri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja. Upon hearing the pastime narrated by Srila Gurudev, Sri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja exhibited rare ecstatic symptoms. With Srila Gurudev's permission, we have included that same excerpt from Gopal Champu, translated into English for the first time as an appendix to the present edition of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, along with Srila Gurudev's brief recount of the aforementioned history. In the Bengali edition by Sri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja, there are many footnotes and parenthetical statements clarifying the Digdarshini Tika of Śrīla Sanatana Goswami. In this English edition, therefore, all of these clarifications are marked by square brackets with the exception of 2 padatikas, 2 footnotes in verse 4, 1 in verse 6, and 1 in verse 8. We have marked all of our own footnotes in this English edition as editor's footnotes. Where direct English translations of Sanskrit terms have been provided, standard parentheses have been used. The editors. And now we're reading a few words on Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam by Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Goswami Mahārāja's preface to the original Bengali edition. Here's the original Bengali, if any. I will be reading from Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, published by my Param Gurudev. Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chandra, the original Supreme Lord, who possesses unlimited, inconceivable potencies, allows Mother Yashoda to bind his waist with rope. In this way, he fully relishes the very essence of the sweetness of her immaculate humor of parental love, Vatsalya Prem Ras, for him, and graces the world with the ultimate example of his subservience to his devotees. He manifests that supremely charming pastime of being bound around his waist, Śrī Dam Bandhan Lila, during the month of Kartik, on the first day of the bright fortnight. This is the principal reason why the supremely blessed month of Kartik has become famous by the name Damodar. Footnote from the editors. Damodar means he who has been bound by dam, rope, around his udar, belly. So dam, rope, udar, belly. Tied by the belly, basically. In this way, he fully relishes the very essence of the sweetness of her immaculate humor of parental love, Vatsalya Prem Ras, for him. Oh, sorry. sorry, guys. We already read that. Okay. Acharya Pad Shri Gopal Bhatta Gosvāmī compiled Śrī Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is the Smriti Shastra, or law book of the Vaishnavas. There he has outlined the devotional activities to be observed during the month of Kartik. He points out the injunction to daily worship Śrī Radha Damodar and to recite the stotra, the prayer to Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Radhikam pratimam vipra pujayet kartike tuya tasya tushyati tat prityay Shriman Damodaro Hari. Śrī Hari Bhakti Vilas 16,197. O learned Brahmins, one who worships the deity Śrī Radhika for her pleasure during the month of Kartik equally satisfies Śrī Damodar Hari. Damodarāṣṭakam nama stotram damodararchanam nityam damodarakarshi patit satyavratoditam. Śrī Hari Bhakti Vilas 16,198. One who worships Śrī Damodar during Kartik month by daily reciting the prayer Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, which was uttered by Śrī Satyavrat Muni as it arose in his heart, will perpetually attract Śrī Damodar himself. As stated above, Śrī Damodar Hari becomes pleased with those who worship Śrī Radhika for her pleasure during the month of Kartik. There's a footnote here from Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj from the Preface to the Bengali Edition. By performing worship of Śrī Radhika for her pleasure during the month of Kartik, Śrī Damodar Hari becomes very pleased. This is because Urjeshwari Srimati Radharani, the controller of all potency, is the sole presiding goddess of this month. Unless someone worships his Sarup Shakti, his internal potency, or Hladini Shakti, pleasure potency, Damodar Shri Krishna, the possessor of all potencies, does not accept that person's worship. Moreover, Shri Radha Devi, Shri Krishna's Antaranga Shakti, internal potency, discards everything if she is worshipped alone without the Lord of her life. Therefore, Sarup Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas in the line of Shri Rupa and Shri Sarup Damodar Goswamis, have exclusively adopted the worship of Yugal, the divine couple, in Radha Lingita Vigraha, the form of Krishna when he is tightly embraced by Srimati Radhika. For the very same reason, Shri Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas has also offered his obeisances to Shri Varshabhanavi Shri Radhika and her beloved Shri Damodar Krishna, the orchestrators of unlimited Haribol, everybody. Thank you for patiently waiting. The power just went out, and so yeah, I'm reading from my phone right now. I'm just going to continue reading, just so that it doesn't get late. And it's not, for some reason, it doesn't let me use my front camera, and while I do it on my phone, so you're just gonna have to stare at me while I read. So where were we? Okay, so we were just finishing Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's footnote. So let me just start. Okay, for the very same reason, Shri Krishna Dvaipa and Veda Vyas. Wait, let me just go up. So Shri Radha Devi, Shri Krishna's Antaranga Shakti, discards everything if she is worshipped alone without the Lord of her life. Therefore, the Sarup Rupa Nuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas have exclusively adopted the worship of Yugal in Radha Lingita Vigraha, the form of Krishna when he is tightly embraced by Srimati Radhika. For the very same reason, Shri Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas has also offered his obeisances to Shri Varshabhanavi Shri Radhika and her beloved Śrī Damodar Krishna, the orchestrators of unlimited pastimes, in the last verse of the Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. In other words, he has established the supremacy of Shakti and Shaktiman Tattva, the Tattva regarding the potency and the potent, on one basis. Okay, back to my Param Gurudev's preface. This Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam stava is narrated in the Padma Puran, where it is spoken by Śrī Satyavrat Muni in the context of a conversation between Śrī Narad and other sages headed by Śrī Shonaka Rishi. In his commentary on the Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī Pad has stated, this prayer is Nitya Siddha, which means eternally perfect. It has manifested through Śrī Satyavrat Muni and is capable of attracting Śrī Damodar Krishna. In his extensive explanation, which is replete with his personal realizations, Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī has thoroughly revealed this prayer's ability to attract Śrī Damodar. Okay, power just came back on. I'm going to go back to my laptop. Okay, it's connecting still. Sorry about that. What the heck's going on? Sorry for all that trouble. Let me share my screen again. You all are very patient. Okay, so for a long time, I've been nurturing the desire to publish this Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. When we used to gather together, especially every Kartik month while observing Damodar Vrat, we would regularly become absorbed in singing the Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam in unison. At such a time, the strong desire to make its secrets bloom within the hearts of all the sadhaks would arise within me. Furthermore, many bhakti sadhaks have also insistently requested me to publish it. Now, after so long, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam's original Sanskrit verses, synonyms, and Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī Pad's Sanskrit commentary called Digdarshini have been published. For readers who do not know Sanskrit, the Bengali translations of the original verses of the above-mentioned commentary by Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī Pad have been included in this book. In the present age, it is noticed that many scholars whose intelligence has been spoiled by Kali have a spiteful outlook towards the propagation of the Sanskrit language. Nevertheless, we have still published the Sanskrit work Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, desiring to benefit the entire country. Literary scholars of the Bengali language must always keep in mind that if we are to promote the Bengali language, Sanskrit is our only support. As Sanskrit literature is promoted, Bengali literature is also certain to progress. Those who imagine that Bengali will be promoted while overstepping Sanskrit literature are gravely mistaken. We notice that the language of such scholars is unsystematic in every respect. The freedom of the Bengali language is subordinate to Sanskrit. In other words, it is not absolutely autonomous. Rather, it is Paratantra Svatantra. Its independence relies on Sanskrit. With this principle in mind, we are presenting this book to the intellectual circles. If one examines the manner in which Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam conveys philosophical concepts, the excellence of its composition, the astonishing way in which it unfolds this pastime, and other aspects of this ashtak, which is written down by Śrī Vyasadeva, it is obvious that it is an excellent work in the world of literature. Jagadguru Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī Pad has written the detailed Digdarshini commentary on this ashtak, our prayer of 8 verses. Therein, based on the sadhak's different eternal temperaments, he has revealed the deliberation on the gradation found within the realm of sadhan. Furthermore, he has established from every perspective the supremacy first of Vatsalya ras, parental love, and finally Madhurya ras, conjugal love. Prakrit Sahajas, and let's just see what the definition is here from editor's footnote. Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada states, endowed with material intelligence, Sahajas cannot understand the topics concerning the transcendental spontaneous occupation of the living entity. Their misdeeds invite immorality and prevent the proper delineation of the true variegatedness of the supremely pure Vishuddhasattva realm of Goloka. Such acts simply degrade their contaminated consciousness to indulge in sense gratification. As soon as confusion occurs about sadhan and siddhi, the stages of practice and perfection, the jiva becomes a prakrit sahaja. Okay, so that's what a prakrit sahaja is. They are confused about sadhan and siddhi, practice and perfection. So, these prakrit sahajas, they discuss Rasalila indiscriminately here and there, and in whatever way they please. To expose the immorality of such activities, Gosvāmī Pad has written the following at the end of his commentary on the 8th verse. Tatascha taya saha rasa kridatikam paramastuti vedante varnayitum ichan tatcha parama gopyatvena bhivyanjayan madhurena samapayed iti nayena kinchid eva sanketano disham pranamati. The translation of this part of the commentary, as well as a footnote, has been printed on page 160 of this book. There, an excellent deliberation is given in regard to such inappropriate discussions within the Sahajas congregations. Since the Sahajas are utterly unqualified, they cannot in any way be considered highly eligible candidates for relishing Ras Lila. As we know, Bhakti is transcendental to the 3 worlds of material existence, so topics like Ras Lila cannot be understood within any worldly realm of analysis. The Prakrit Sahajas think, dull matter can become chit, spiritual, and by the power of one sadhan, Bhagavan can be seen with one's material eyes. This is their conception. They say, just as bell metal transforms into gold when mercury is added to it, this prakrit, this material body, becomes aprakrit, transcendental, by the power of bhajan. Then, with these same material eyes, Bhagavan can be seen. Srila Sanatana Goswami has completely refuted the statement of the Prakrit Sahajas in Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, as well as in his Digdarshini commentary on this Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Seeing Bhagavan within the mind and seeing him directly. In this regard, it is essential to carefully deliberate on the commentaries of Srila Sanatana Goswami on verse 4 and verse 6 of this book. From the concepts presented in those two verses, the Prakrit Sahajyas may infer that Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad explains that seeing Bhagavan with one's eyes is superior to seeing him within the mind during meditation. That Goswami Pad has established Gopakumar's direct perception of Bhagavan with his eyes as superior to Brahma's vision of Bhagavan through meditation must be carefully considered. In this example, Goswami Pad is not referring to Gopakumar's seeing Bhagavan with material eyes. Only after Gopakumar was situated within the realm of Vaikuntha, the transcendental platform, is it described that he saw Bhagavan with his eyes. In the realm of Vaikuntha, the material senses do not exist. Therefore, the Gopas and Gopis' direct proximity with Sri Bhagavan is in every respect transcendental and beyond the grasp of the material senses. This matter cannot be perceived by the senses of the Prakrit Sahajyas. I have already mentioned that Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam is to be sung and discussed daily while observing Urja Vrat, also known as Kartik Vrat or Damodar Vrat. Those who wish to please Śrī Damodar in the month of Damodar should certainly read Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam daily and in its entirety. This is a specific injunction of Śrī Hari Bhakti Vilas. Various ways of observing Damodar Vrat are found in the scriptures. Urja Vrat comes within Chaturmasya Vrat. It begins from Akadashi, Dwadashi, or Purnima, and ends on those very days 1 month later. However, if these days are vidha, penetrated, they should never be counted. Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad states, in vrats observed by Vaishnavas, vidha titis should be strictly rejected. Therefore, even the days on which the Chaturmasya and Urja Vrats begin or end should be observed discarding the vidha titis. The opinion of Śrī Hari Bhakti Vilas is that if Surya, the sun, rises and penetrates the commencing or concluding titi of the Chaturmas Vrat and Urja Vrat, then they should not be counted. In the following passages, we are quoting a short article by Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod regarding Kartik Vrat. This article clearly determines the day on which the duties involved in completing the vrat should be performed. The injunction given for those who begin this vrat on the day of Akadashi also applies to those who start on Dwadashi or Purnima. The article is as follows. To observe Kartik Vrat is a primary duty of a Vaishnava. Ashvinasya tumanasya ya shuklaika dashi bhavet kartikasya vratam iha tasyam kuryad atandritaha. Śrī Hari Bhakti Vilas 16.168. Kartik Vrat begins from the Akadashi that comes within the bright fortnight of the month of Ashvin, September-October, and should be observed with great self-restraint and discipline. According to this statement, every year from the Akadashi that follows Vijaya Dashami, one should begin one's vrat and end it on the day of Uttana Akadashi. The vrat observed during this particular All right, it happened again, so let me just... What's going on here? There. All right. So let me start over. The rules of Niyam Seva are follows. The vrat observed during this particular month is called Niyam Seva. The rules of Niyam Seva are as follows. On every day of that month, during the last period of the night, one should purify oneself and perform the Mangal Arati of Shri Krishna. Later on in the morning, after bathing, one should perform archan of Śrī Dāmodar. At night, one should offer burning wicks of ghee or sesame oil in Bhagavan's temple at the base of Tulsi and toward the sky. In the month of Kartik, one should eat food that is strictly vegetarian and offered to Bhagavan. One should not take stale. No, that's a mistranslation. It says, I forgot what the Bengali was. It was like para anna or something like that. Anyways, it means one should not take grains cooked by others. One should not sleep on another's bed, take oil or honey, or use bell metal utensils. After honoring Bhagavan's remnants, one should hear or study Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures in the association of Vaishnavas. One should incessantly perform Nam Kirtan of Shri Hari and remember him. Following these rules, one should pass the entire month. Then, on the day of Uttana Ekadashi, one should fast, even from water, and spend that night awake, absorbed in hearing and chanting topics about Sri Krishna. The next day, in the morning, one should purify oneself and then perform Hari Kirtan. Afterwards, one should distribute the Lord's prasad among one-pointed, intimately related Vaishnavas, and finally honor some oneself. That day, at the end of the night, one will end the vrat. So that's the end of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's article. Back to my Param Guru. Then to please Śrī Dāmodar is the primary purpose of observing Urja Vrat. One second. Power just came back. I hope this isn't a regular thing that's happening now. All right. To please Śrī Dāmodar is the primary purpose of observing Urja Vrat. Srimati Radharani is addressed as Urjeshwari. Therefore, to please her, Therefore, to please Śrī Dāmodar, Śrī Satyavrat Muni added the statement, Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya, thereby implying that in observing Śrī Dāmodar Vrat, worship of Śrī Dāmodar is one's exclusive obligation. All right. Let me just. There. Let me just share my screen again. There. Among the 64 limbs of bhakti that are to be followed by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we find mention of Urja Dara, honoring or observing Urja Vrat. One should understand that Urja Dara refers to following the complete Chaturmasa Vrat. Some say, since there is no mention of observing Chaturmasa Vrat among the 64 limbs of bhakti, we will observe only Urja Vrat. We will not undergo the trouble of observing this 4-month Vrat. People who try to perform bhajan in this manner, being unacquainted with the profound meanings of the scriptures, indulge in whimsical, undisciplined behavior. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed us to observe this Chaturmasa Vrat through his own example by following it himself while in Sri Rangakshetra, Sri Rangam. We cannot count as Shuddha Vaishnavas those who are unable to follow the teachings that were demonstrated and preached by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sorry guys, I don't know why I'm reading. My reading's a little bit sloppy today. It's just one of those days. We want to substantiate our above statement with an example. Of the 6 limbs of surrender, Sharanagati, only Atmanivedan, submission of one's very self, is mentioned among the 9 types of bhakti, or Navada Bhakti. Will it then be concluded that the other 5 limbs of Sharanagati are prohibited, or to be excluded from one's sadhana? Since Atmanivedan is topmost among the 6 ways of surrendering, one must understand that simply by its mention, all the other ways of surrender have also been prescribed for the practicing devotee. The 6 limbs of surrender are accepted only as one method of spiritual practice, although one is primary, the angi, and the others are its elements, the anga. Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam is eternal. Therefore, we should study it, sing it out loud, and discuss it, not just during the month of Kartik, but every day throughout Chaturmasya. It is so important that it is worth reading every month and indeed every day of the year. If this Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam is glorified in a sublimely pure way, Śrī Damodar will become pleased. It is with this intention that with great effort we have compiled this book. In doing so, we are especially indebted to the revered Pandit Śrī Yuta Navina Chandra Smriti Vyakarantirtha Mahodaya. He has given valuable assistance in translating the Digdarshini commentary into Bengali and in the presentation of the synonyms and so forth. In some places, the Digdarshini commentary seemed so incomprehensible that it was almost impossible to unearth its true meaning. He therefore personally underwent great pains to consult pundits from Navadip and many other places and discuss these sections with them, thereby ascertaining a perfectly relevant meaning. We are therefore especially indebted to him. The Digdarshini commentary has been published in several editions of Hari Bhakti Vilas, chapter 16. After comparing the original verses with these commentaries, we have published everything in such a way so as to be consistent. In his commentary on this book, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad has mentioned the concepts presented in his Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We have included those concepts as footnotes. There, we have published the original verses of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita along with their translations, explicitly conveying their deeper meaning for the reader's easy understanding. Finally, my anguished prayer to the Shuddha Vaishnavas is that they become pleased by reading and discussing this book during Chaturmasya and Urja Vrat. I will then consider my efforts successful. Thus I conclude. Shri Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava, the first day of Kartik, 1954. All right, so now we can sing Dāmodarāṣṭakam. I'll first read the translation here at Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī. Okay, so I'm just going to read through all the translations and then we'll sing. I offer obeisances unto Sri Krishna, the possessor of all potencies, whose beautiful form is the entirety of concentrated existence, knowledge, and bliss. On his cheeks, makar-shaped earrings are swinging playfully. His infinite brilliance shines forth from his most splendid residence, the transcendental abode Shri Gokul. He was afraid of Mother Yashoda because he smashed the earthen pot of yogurt. When he saw her coming, he leapt down from the grinding mortar and ran away. Nevertheless, Mother Yashoda ultimately caught hold of him from behind, for she ran more swiftly than he did. Seeing the stick in his mother's hand and fearful of being beaten, he is weeping incessantly and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus-like hands. His eyes are extremely restless and filled with fear. He takes heavy breaths again and again that cause the pearls and other ornaments around his neck, which is marked by 3 gracefully curving lines, to tremble. O Damodar, you have been bound by your mother's Vatsalya Bhakti. I offer my obeisances unto that Damodar. By his childhood pastimes such as this Dambandhan Lila, he perpetually drowns all the residents of Gokul, his gopas, gopis, cows, calves, and so forth, who are all manifested by his pastime potency in pools of bliss. He thus informs those who have knowledge of his absolute divinity that only the pure and simple love of these devotees can conquer him. Again, hundreds of times, I offer loving obeisance unto that Śrī Damodar, Shri Krishna, unto Śrī Damodar Krishna, O supremely effulgent and playful divinity, I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering, the fourth of human goals. Nor do I ask for the ultimate limit of freedom, residence in Vaikuntha, the abode of extraordinary concentrated happiness. Nor do I seek any other benediction from you. even attaining bhakti characterized by Shravan, Kirtan, etc. Even though, as a supreme benefactor, you can easily grant all benedictions. O Lord of my life, may your beautiful form as Bala Gopal, a little cowherd boy in Vraj, always remain visible within my heart. I have no use for any benediction other than this. O Deva, your lotus-like face, encircled by soft blackish-blue curly locks of hair that have a reddish glow, is repeatedly kissed by the gopi Śrī Yashoda. May your supremely charming lotus face, with lips like red bimba fruit, always remain manifest in my heart. I do not care about millions of other attainments. O Deva, O you who have a divine form, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. O you who are Bhakta Vatsal, affectionate to your devotees. Śrī Damodar, O Ananta, Lord of inconceivably magnificent potencies. O all-pervasive Vishnu, O Prabhu, my master, be pleased with me. I am drowning in an ocean of incessant worldly miseries. Alas, I am extremely miserable, and I do not know what to do. O Isha, supremely independent controller, please deliver me by the nectarian shower of your merciful glance and enliven me by becoming directly visible to my eyes. O Damodar, even though you are bound with a rope to the grinding mortar by your mother, you set the two sons of Kubera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, free from Srinath's curse that they live as twin Arjun trees, and enabled them to become recipients of the highest possible attainment, bhakti. In the same way, please profusely bestow upon me prem bhakti for you. I long for this alone. I do not want any other kind of liberation. O Damodar, I offer my respectful obeisances to the celebrated rope binding your belly, for it is an abode of brilliant effulgence. I offer my respectful obeisances to your belly, which supports the entire universe of moving and non-moving entities. I offer my respectful obeisances again and again to Srimati Radhika, your most beloved. And I offer my respectful obeisances to you, my divine Lord, who performs unlimited transcendental pastimes. You know, something I made, um, I made, I wrote out Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, and then I made a word for word. Let me just open this up. Then you can, while we're singing, you could see the meaning of all the words. But I just have to download it. 1 second, because I don't think I have it on my computer anymore. So let me I'm just opening it up. 1 second, let me just open it up here. And then, okay. If you're not on the Gaudiya Kirtan mailing list, let me know. And every now and then I send out little things. Here it is, Dāmodarāṣṭakam printout. Yeah, I can send this to you also. All right, let me get my mridanga. I'm going to sing this in the evening melody since there'll probably be people watching right now who are in the West. It's not morning time. Let me download this. Okay, there. Namamishwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasat Kunda Lam Gokule Prajñāna Yashoda Biyoluka Ladhavamana Paramrishtamatan Tattva Drutago Namameshwaram Sachiranandarupam Alasatkundalam Gokule Prajñāna Arudantamurnetra Yugmamre Jantam Param Bhoja Yugmena Satankanetra Musvasakampa Trirekankakantha Stita Graivadamo Dharam Bhakti Padam Namameshwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasatundalam Gokule Prajñāna Iti drik swalilabhir ayananda kunde Swaghoshav nimajantam akyapayantam Tadiyeshitargesho bhakterjitatvam Puna prematastam Shatavrittivan O Namameshwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Prajñāna Varang Deva Moksham Namokshava Dhenva Nachanyam Breneha Varesharapiha Idam Te Vapur Nata Gopala Balam Sada me manasya virastam kimam Namameshwaram Sachiranandarupam Alasatkundalam Gokule Prajñāna Ayidam te mukham bhojam avyakta-nilar Vritam kuntalai-snigdha raktashta-gopya Muhushchumbitam pimpa-rakta-dharani Manasya virastam alam lakshalabha Namameshwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Prajñāna Anamadeva Damo Dharananta Deshno Prasiddha Prabhuduka Jalabdi Magna Kripadrishti Vrishtyate Dinam Patano Grihane Shamamagya Ekakshidesha Namameshwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Prajñāna Kuberatmajo Bata Murtai Vayarvat Atva Prayamocito bhakti bhajokrito cha tatha prema bhaktin sakame prayacha anamokshe graho mesti damodare anamamishvaram Sachiranandarupam Nasat Kundalam Gokule Prajñāna O Namaste Stuthamne Spuradipti Dhamne Tadyadarayatha Vishvasadhamne Namo Radhikāyai Tadiya Priyāyai Namo Radhikāyai Tadiya Priyāyai O Namo Nanta Lilai Devaya Tuyam Namo Radhikāyai Tadiya Priyāyai Namo Radhikāyai Tadiya Priyāyai Namo Radhikāyai Tadiya Priyāyai Namo Radhikāyai Tadiya Priyāyai Namo Nanta Lilai Devaya Namo Nanta Lilai Devaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Damodara Radha Damodara Jai Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki jai Jai Śrī Guru Gurānavika Giridhari Śrī Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai Śrī Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki jai Śrī Radha Damodar Ju ki jai Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashatashmad Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Śrīla Gokṣaras Babaji Mahārāja ki jai Nitil Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki jai Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Shri Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai Namachay Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai Shri Mona Devi Ganga Devi ki jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai Shri Kartik Vrat Urja Vrat Damodar Vrat Niyam Seva ki jai Kartik Kartik Vrat Adivas Titi ki jai. It's the day before Kartik Vrat, right? Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki jai. Śrī Satyavrat Muni ki jai. Śrī Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyasdev ki jai. Śrī Sanatan Gosvāmī Pad ki jai. Śrīla Gurudev ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Śrī Nitāya Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Vo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keśava Krishna Bhakti Satyavadaya Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhyaya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. So I'll see you all tomorrow. We will begin reading verse 1, commentary of Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī Pad and my Śrīla Gurudev. And today I started at 7. Well, I started a little bit late. I was 7:05. But anyways, from tomorrow, I'm going to begin at 6:15 a.m. India. So yeah, I'll begin 6:15 a.m. Then I'm going to sing through the Guru Vashtakam, Guru Parampara Sang, Vaishnava Vandana, Sharanagati, and then a bunch of different ashtakams. Śrīla Gosvāmī Ashtakam, Gandharva Samprarthana Ashtakam, Yamuna Ashtakam, Lalita Ashtakam, Govardhan Vas Prarthana Ashtakam, then Namami Nandanandanam, Radhakripa Kataksha Stavaraj, and then Damodarāṣṭakam. And then I will begin reading from verse 1 and from this book, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam book by my Gurudev. And that's what I'll be doing throughout Kartik. And I think we'll finish reading Dāmodarāṣṭakam. We'll finish reading the book by the 27th, which is also the day that I leave for Vrindavan. I'm going to be, it's my train. I'm leaving in the morning time. So I'm going to finish reading and I'm going to immediately leave the mutt as soon as I'm done reading. So thank you so much for joining me and for your tolerance through all the trouble, the power going out. And just today, I don't know why, I was like, I got ready in a rush and I was a little bit I was a little bit nervous when I was reading for some reason, and so I was stuttering. But what I want to do is just read it once on my own, just so that I've read it once, and then I'll probably read a lot more smoothly. All right. Thank you for joining. Jai Shri Radhe. See you all tomorrow morning. That's 8:45 a.m. in China. Okay, cool. All right. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Hari Bol.